natural and unexplained phenomena. Spiritual activity. Cryptids.
The future and the past.
Conspiracies. Beliefs and ancient remains. Program for you, the listener, in bringing your stories and concerns to the table. And now your host, Dave Cruz.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Strange. I am your host, Dave Cruz. We have a really good show for you tonight to make up for last week. What happened, you say? Really couldn't tell you. It just all hit me at once. It was not the best day of days last week. Anyways, how you all doing? I'm glad to see people in the Spreaker chat. I see Nancy Nurse. I see Raspberries. I see Tina Carpenter. I see Luciferius. How y'all doing tonight? We got a great show tonight. We really do. Tonight we're talking about the Black Knight Satellite. Yes, we are. And we also have 2016 predictions with our very own LJ3. Also tonight, we have Gigi Rabbit and Mason with Aether Vapes, and they're going to be discussing vaping. So it's going to be a really good one tonight. And but yes, I do have to apologize, Beyonders, for last week. It started with a family emergency and tech issues, and it just went downhill from there. And all I can say is crap happens. But I'm glad you guys are back, and I'm really happy to see you all here tonight. Anyways, so yeah, we'll be giving our take on the Black Knight Satellite. We also have some amazing predictions with Les, and we'll be going over that. And then we have Brian Gigi Bressler, and Mason. We are live here on Google Hangouts. We're streaming from YouTube. Also, we are streaming at Spreaker. You can go to Spreaker.com and search for Beyond the Strange. There you will see the live feed. You can also follow us on Twitter at Strange Days 2015. The hashtag BeStrange is the letter B and then the word strange after that. We also have the links to the show, there and whatever else we post there. I'm sorry. I'm still actually kind of sick, guys, so bear with me. We also have a Beyond the Strange Facebook. It's where most of our show's info and updates are. There is a Google Plus Beyond the Strange profile, and our email is beyondthestrange@gmail.com. Also, you can go to Beyond the Strange website. We're working to keep you up to date with past and present shows, so go to beyondthestrange.com. And finally, you can join the show with your Gmail account or call in on Skype. The ID is Strange Days 2015. You could also call in for Q&A with our guest or panel show, and that number is 707-200-3520. And a quick shout out to the people at Facebook, Disclosure Now, also UFO Dependent. And with us tonight, we have, of course, our very own LJ3. How's it going tonight?
Oh, it's going wonderful, and a special little shout out for Space Boy. If you guys noticed, we had a new piece of music tonight. Thank
That's
you,
right.
Space Boy. That's right from Space Boy's heart to ours, and we thank you for that, brother.
That was really really awesome. We really
And if you get a
appreciate that, dude.
chance, he does have his own show, as most of you already know, Space Boy
That it
Universe,
is.
and it's on Saturday nights at 10 p.m. my time, or is it 9 p.m. Central? So you
9
guys
p.m.
enjoy
Central.
that.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
guys enjoy that when you guys get a chance. Thanks again, once again, Space Boy. Yeah, how are you doing, Dave? You still sound like you still got the sniffles. I had to get that out of the way first.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. I definitely have the sniffles. Everything else that goes with it. But guess what? I'm here tonight, and that's what counts.
Yep.
And I'm here for my Beyonders. I love y'all. So, uh, I see Sirlana's in the Spreaker chat. How you doing, Sirlana? Good to see you. Um, Les, you want to introduce our special guest tonight? The
Absolutely. First, y'all know him, y'all love him. I got a chance to meet him last time. My first time I got to go to Contact in the Desert. Uh, became pretty good friends. I fell in love with his vape, which is why he's here tonight with his best buddy and partner in crime, Mason, the chemical engineering master of disaster, I guess. Not disaster, actually. He's pretty darn good at it. Brian, would you like to say hello to everybody?
Yahoy, everyone. Top of the evening to you.
Now, you have to imagine when Brian comes on, he's got his tongue stuck out, and he's got, he's got he's got, the two fingers out, sign of the devil kind of thing. So if you don't have a picture for that, I'll send it out later. Mason, you want to say hello to everybody?
Yeah, hi, how are you doing? Thanks for having us.
Oh yeah, thanks for being here. It's a
oh,
pleasure to have you, and I'm very happy you decided to join us on our panel for Black Knight. And in about in about 50 minutes, we'll get to chat about vaping and how you guys practice your craft.
Cool.
Very cool.
absolutely. We appreciate you guys joining us tonight and discussing that, and also being with us for the show.
Yeah,
And
it's a pleasure to be here, man.
yeah, we're really glad you're here. Right on. What was I gonna say? Oh, yes, that's what I was gonna say. So, Les, you want to talk about, or I'll talk about it. But you saw the lights over Australia that was been going on all week.
Yeah, yeah, and as we were just talking about it before the show started, you have a bit of news about that, don't you?
I sure do. Just came out today. Hoaxer apologizes for viral strange lights over Canberra. Video reveals clip fake, and I got to see it really quick before we went on. Actually, I just turned it down, but yeah, it's I've seen it before anyway. But it's basically it says the person who posted a viral video purporting to show a strange ball-shaped light over Canberra has made an apology online. Um, and explained that the video was fake. The video was uploaded to YouTube on January 3rd, titled "Strange Lights Over Above Canberra." 030116 appeared to show a circular light exploding in the sky over the ACT during a storm. As a result of extensive media coverage, the clip went viral, gathering more than 300,000 views on YouTube in less than a week. But on Saturday, its creator posted an explanation on reddit.com titled "Apology from an Idiot." Last week, I uploaded a video here that depicted a large ball of light in the sky exploding into a donut. I didn't intend for it to be taken seriously, but I made an error in judgment and titled the video as it was real. Because of this, the video went viral. I'm extremely sorry for that. I messed up bad. The second video was posted with the apology explaining how the clip was altered using editing software. After spotting the video on YouTube last week, the ABC tried unsuccessfully to contact the person who uploaded the clip, an astronomer and the Bureau of Meteorology were also contacted to establish whether it was possible the video could be the result of real weather activity. I believe people were saying that it was just a ball of lightning at first.
Well,
Some
like
people
ball
were
lightning?
saying, yeah. But then other people were saying that it was totally a UFO like taking off, and people were just making their own assumptions.
Yeah, well, when people see stuff like that, they do make their own assumptions. Unfortunately, that's why you can put somebody in the gas chamber, you can put someone in the electric chair with a human sighting, but unfortunately, when it comes to the paranormal, you're crazy. Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. But nevertheless, they came out and they apologized, and that's definitely going to go into the Beyond the BS file, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later on this year. We'll have another one of those.
Yeah, I was
But
waiting for that. I was waiting for the bump, man. Where did the bump go?
you know what's been going on, but
Yeah.
we'll get all our bumps back and everything back in order here on the show.
Yeah, well,
And
while we've got that little segue going, I wanted to go ahead and say hello to everybody in Spreaker real quick.
yeah,
Space Boy, Nancy, K28, Luciferius, George, Luna, let's see, Tina, of course. Thank you for showing up, Tina. Raspberries 526. Let's see who else. I'm scrolling through here real quick to see who else has joined us. Of course, we've got Gene on Twitter right now, and Dennis, who is helping us out always, being a brother from another
thank you,
mother.
Dennis.
Yeah,
You're
Dennis
awesome,
is
dude.
always the man. We were just talking about that
Right
before the
on.
show started.
Oh,
And
Casper just joined us.
and Casper. Hi, Casper. Take it away, Dave. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say hello to everybody.
Nah, man, it's all good, brother. It's cool. But yeah, thank you all for joining us tonight in Spreaker, and for those of you who are listening on YouTube as well. Unfortunately, we can't see you, but we know you're there, and we really appreciate you being there. So, yeah, let's get to it, Les. Black Knight Satellite, dude. What do we know about the Black Knight Satellite? Well, it's approximately 13,000 years old, of extraterrestrial origin, orbiting the Earth. Critics and mainstream academics have called it a conspiracy theory and a myth. It's funny. Our captain was talking about it the other day as well. Remember hearing that?
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. But it definitely seems to be in the media, and also when I say that, I also mean that it's in mainstream media with this Pepsi commercial that got a lot of attention, got my attention, and when I saw it, dude, I really thought that this commercial looked like it could be real. Like there could be some real, well, not only importance, but realistic. It could be real if disclosure happened. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, of course, the part where I don't want my brains to fall out from being open-minded says stuff like, supposedly, Nikola Tesla got the first signal from it in 1899. But, is there really proof to say that the signal he got was really from Black Knight Satellite?
That's what I've been thinking, actually, because there doesn't really seem to be any directly correlating anything to suggest that that was indeed from the Black Knight. It seems like a jump to conclusion, but
Yeah.
he definitely was receiving a signal of some kind, it seems like, and he took it very seriously. So the fact that that man of that kind of brain took it that seriously, there's something going on, sure.
Yeah. Speaking of Tesla, yeah, the origin of the Black Knight legend is often retrospectively dated back to natural extraterrestrial repeating sources heard during the 1899 radio experiments of Nikola Tesla, and long-delayed echoes first heard by amateur radio operator Jørgen Hals in Oslo, Norway in 1928. Tesla told Julian Hawthorne of Philadelphia, North American, in December of 1899, the issue about the signals he had found. Then the Albany Telegraph, I'm assuming these are either papers or magazines, reported to have said that they were from Mars because he deciphered the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the signals. In 1973, Scottish author Duncan Lunan analyzed the long-delayed radio echoes received by Howells and others and speculated that they could possibly originate from a 13,000-year-old alien probe located near the star Epsilon Bootis. Did I say that right? Epsilon Bootis?
Yeah, you said that right. Epsilon
Yeah.
Bootis. It all depends on where you come from.
Right. Solana says the signal was probably background stuff in space like a pulsar, and that could very well be. And by the way, Solana, if you ever, if you want to come into Hangouts, or if you want to give us a call, you're more than welcome. There's an open invitation. Phone number 707-200-3520, or Strange Days 2015 on the Skype ID. So yeah. Anyways, getting back to this thing, it would seem that there was a lot of these signals going on, during that time, and so that way, of course, Tesla and Jørgen Hals, try to decipher it. Do you guys? And I'm talking to the panel. Brian, what's your take on that? What do you think about this?
Well, there's such an array of different evidence that everybody tries to tie back to the Black Knight. There's definitely been, like, all those examples of the military's observations of this thing orbiting east to west, where at the time we didn't have the technology to do that. And the speed that it was going at, too, apparently is nothing like anything we were capable of doing. And, I don't know, there definitely seems to be, I feel like whatever the Black Knight is, it definitely, it fits the description of a lot of these sightings and whatnot and phenomena, but at the same time, there's still so many other possibilities. It's kind of hard to say for sure that that's where it's coming from, but I feel like it definitely plays a role in this whole paradigm of what's going on here. But,
Well, yeah, Brian. You said east-west. I thought it was on a north-south polar orbit.
oh yeah, no, there
Kind of figured out
have definitely been times where it's on a north to south orbit, and that's what's his name? There's been several different.
Was it
people in
Tombaugh
there.
or was it Dr. Lincoln? Yeah, it just depends. Different scientists, I think, have seen it on different trajectories,
Yeah, and that's what they were saying, is that it's the most unpredictable. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's going east to west, sometimes it's going polar. So it seems to be definitely not quite as natural as anything else that we know that orbits, or anything that we put in the orbit, because apparently we can't just change directories like that. But it just depends on the credibility of who's reporting those things, which actually a lot of them seem to be very credible, especially that one astronaut guy, part of my memory.
Gordon Cooper?
Gordon.
Yes, that guy for sure. But
Yes, I was.
and that guy seems very genuine. Like you can just tell, like he's just saying what he saw, and the fact that he stood out there and risked his reputation saying that stuff. It must have been very significant to him. And I just feel like there's not enough details around the whole situation, but there's definitely enough occurrences to where there's certainly something going on. and the Black Knight seems to be one of the common factors of it. That's about as conclusive as I can get. But
Yeah,
I am.
and you're right. I mean, there's not really hard evidence, and I need to back up. This is what I forgot, Les, at the beginning of the show. What we talk about on the show, and you know what we say, we're not making claims specifically like we know this is true, or you know this is hard evidence, this is hard facts. We gather the data, we gather the information, and we bring it to you guys. And like always, you know, we ask that you do your homework also. You know, take a look at what we present to you, and make your own conclusion, because we can't do that for you, and we're not going to go on record to say that we are the truth or whatever. You know what I mean, Les?
Yeah, well, basically what we're saying is do your own homework.
Exactly.
Don't depend on what we say as 100% fact. Most of the time what we're saying we've looked up ourselves, and it's our opinion with facts that we've found on the net, on YouTube, on wherever else you guys can get sources at the same time.
Yeah, and I always find that the more different perspectives you get on one subject, the more obvious it becomes what's actually going on, you know? And with this case, there's so many different perspectives saying so many different things. It's kind of hard to narrow that down, but like I said, there's enough excitement about it to where, there must be some basis in truth in many of these claims, I'm sure.
Yep, absolutely. And, going back down the timeline, speaking of Gordon Cooper, it was right here in my notes. No, I don't see it. Gordon Cooper made that claim when he was on board of the Mercury 9 capsule. He saw a greenish glow object approach his capsule on the 15th orbit. And I'm not going to pretend to be some sort of egghead scientist. I don't even know what that means. But I mean, you have an astronaut who's out there and who's saying that they saw this, and much like you said earlier, Brian, or was it Mason? I can't remember, but you said that why risk your reputation? If you saw something and you say it, just blurt it out. That's going to really ruin your reputation.
Exactly. I mean, he really had nothing to gain from it, and only had a lot to lose from it, if anything. And I don't think he would do that for nothing,
Yeah, and I mean, the guy was in space. I've never been to space, so this guy is out there, and he's saying that he saw the greenish glowing object approach his capsule, and so I mean, I believe he saw something, and it could be the Black Knight Satellite, it could have been something else, but it was definitely something. Forgot to mention that also the ham radio operators were also picking up repeating radio signals.
Yeah, back in the 1920s, they started getting signals.
Back in the 1920s. And then in the 1928, the long delay echoes, this is with Oslo, and in 1950, there were newspaper reports of 2 unknown satellites in orbit. 1960s newspaper report of the U.S. Navy detecting satellites not belonging to us, the United States, or Russia. We had 2 in orbit equatorially, not in polar orbit. Purportedly, this satellite was orbiting in the opposite direction of the Earth's rotation at twice as fast. And listen, and guys, this is what I'm trying to do for everybody out there, is we're just trying to do a timeline. We're trying to gather as much data and present it to you as possible, and then I want to compare it to the the Pepsi commercial. I mean,
yeah,
it's like, why would Pepsi do this? That's what I want. I keep going back to that, Les. Why would Pepsi do something that, I mean, they could do something with Bigfoot, or they could do something with
messing with sasquatch. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what really bothers me. It really gets me,
Well,
really
it shocked
thinking
a lot
about
of us. I remember when this happened. I mean, we were all like, what? Like, why the heck is Pepsi? And we, like I said, we were talking about this too right before the show. Why the heck would Pepsi, who, if you've watched the commercial, and it's what? It's about 10, 15 minutes long, something like that, Dave?
about 10 minutes.
Okay. Do a commercial about something that's on the fringe. Have basically make it totally about conspiracy, government chasing this guy down. And, and not one person drank a freaking Pepsi on the commercial. They had the colors, but not one. It really wasn't a real commercial, if you think about it.
Yep. Yeah, it wasn't really a commercial. It was more like a presentation. Did you want to say something, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're just making the statement, which is seems pretty bizarre coming from Pepsi, which you would think would have not much to do with anything on that nature at all. It just, it's very bizarre to me that they would have spent the time and money to put that particular message out there. So, I don't know, man. I still am not sure quite what to make of it, but
it kind of has us all scratching our heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely some. Seems like there's some breadcrumbs there going somewhere, but maybe we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know.
Back up a little bit in Spreaker, I noticed that Raspberries had some sort of. Oh, excuse me, not some sort of, but she had a.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'm going to do a quick shout out to the people who've joined us since. My lady Marilyn, hello. I had to say hello to you. Bear, Allison joined us. Mark Toronto, our friend from Australia. George, Bob, Bev will show up at some point, I'm sure. And hi, Fran. Love you, sweetheart. Just wanted to say hi to her.
Right on for that. You know what? My my chat's going really fast. I don't know if it's because it's in the Spreaker, but it's definitely I can't.
Speak of the devil. There's Barrett too.
And Barrett, he's driving and listening. Hey, gang.
Yeah, Barrett's going to join us for part of this. I think we were going to send him an invite at some point. And by the way, if you do have any questions or you'd just like to weigh in, our number is 707-200-3520 if you want to give us a call. Mason, you haven't chimed in yet. Have you? Would you like to say anything?
No, I mean, honestly, I'm just not really, very... I don't really know too much about this topic, to be quite honest. I don't know enough to be able to, say one way or the other that it's, a complete hoax or that it, is plausible or anything. I don't know. I tend to usually lean on the side of kind of not believing stuff. I know me and Brian always get into an argument about chemtrails and whatnot, but I really just am not educated enough on this to really, put anything out there. I feel.
Hey man, and I appreciate you saying that. We'd rather you. There's too many people that are willing to give their opinions out, which are like what's. Everybody's got one. It's a mark of wisdom when you know when and when not to speak about something. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I actually just found out about this whole Black Knight Satellite thing, literally 10 minutes before we went on air, just talking to Brian.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
did you find the question for us, Dave?
No, but she did come back and mention that she said that she's noticed there's a lot of tidbits of disclosure lately. She's saying that it's coming slowly, but it's happening at a rate sheep can handle. Yeah, I'm sure sheep can handle that. Also, there was something in there about, I think Luciferia said that Pepsi was using their logo. It was something about their logo that, all the imagery. I know Solana said the imagery, and then Luciferius also mentioned that their logo was their colors, the red and blue and white or whatever.
I just want to do a quick shout out. Looks like someone new has just joined us. UFO Buster Radio. Hi guys. If you guys have another radio show, nice. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, and George Seymour is in there. Hey George, how's it going? Good to see you. I'm glad you made it, man. Yeah, Luciferius is chiming in again, saying they're using the commercial to introduce their new logo, and that's very well possible. They rebranded. I see. But again, the paranormal community is not a really huge community. We pretty much know each other almost, and it does seem like they were definitely trying to get our attention. No, there's more hidden stuff in the video. Is that what you're saying, Sirlana? Okay. We'll have to go back and look at that. Getting back to the timeline of the data that we got here, we've got 1973. Duncan Lunan of Scotland used LDE data plus vertical axis transmitted pulse sequences to calculate the radio signals were coming from the BNS, creating a star map of the Epsilon Buddhist system, and from the current position of the Buddhist system compared to the map, calculated that the BNS was over 12,000, well, close to 13,000 years old by comparative positioning. Mysteriously, later on, he retracted this information, stating that he did the calculations wrong. And this is kind of where I want to get into in the second part after we take our first break, that, after we gather this information for you and present it, there's stuff that people are saying, okay, yeah, it was true, and then now they're saying, oh, maybe not. So, anyways, we're going to take our first break, guys. We'll be right back, and we will talk more about the Black Knight Satellite. Don't go away.
Remember what Professor Snidely, myself, always says. It's not the size of your brain that counts. It's the weight. And remember, Beyonders, listen to Beyond the Strange. Sundays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Do you believe in UFOs? Time travel? How about ghosts or Bigfoot? Greetings to all you Beyonders out there. This is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange. I wanted to personally thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Beyond the Strange is not your typical podcast. We want to hear your stories and experiences. This is the radio program for you, the listener. We bring your stories and concerns to the table. So check us out live every Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, Beyonders believe. Welcome back, everybody. This is Beyond the Strange. I am Dave C. or Dave Cruz, whichever you want to prefer. And we are talking about the Black Knight Satellite. Solana, I apologize for that. Please call back. If you want to use your, SB's cough break, that's kind of what I was doing too. Again, I'm still trying to get over this. Gunny, what's going on, brother? Glad to see you in there. But getting back to you, Solana. You can call back, or you can use the Strange Days 2015 ID, and I'll make sure to look out for that. So, guys, how do you feel about this Black Knight Satellite dealio? I'm on the fence with it. I mean, I kind of feel like there could be some credit, to this whole thing, or at the same time, it could just be people who are seeing things. I don't know. What do you think, Les?
When it comes down to it, I really just don't know. I mean, another thing that I think we brought up is, how do we know, this thing that's going on around about, it's been there for 13,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that.
I'm doubtful about that too.
Yeah, I mean, you can't carbon date something that you can't hold, right?
Right.
So, I don't know too much about astronomy or anything like that. So,
but I do know that ever since we've been going into space, I mean, that was one of the first things they noticed. It seems like just with Sputnik, even, were these one, if not two, oddly orbiting satellites of some kind. And there's been, I know the Department of Defense took it very seriously and started a whole little program trying to investigate what those things were, but they never really officially said anything about the outcome of their studies on it, and so I feel like NASA, I feel like they know a little bit more about it than we do, although it may not be much more. But I know it's been taken very seriously, so there's definitely something that, as far as we know, shouldn't be orbiting, especially in the strange ways that it does, but it is. And so I think at least that much seems pretty, I think that's there. But as far as tying it back to being the same thing that Nikola Tesla was receiving messages from, and as far as dating back to 13,000 years, I'm not so sure about that.
Keen on that, yeah. Well, not only that, I mean, if you would think, yes, things can be in orbit, and they can be in orbit for a long time, but depending upon how far away the Black Knight satellite really is from our orbit, can it really stay in a stationary orbit by itself without it? That's why I think it is there. It has been seen. It has been pictured. When was the first time they took a picture of it? Back in 1960, Dave. That was when the first group of pictures were taken.
It was a report from the U.S. Navy detecting the satellites. Anyways, yeah, it was a newspaper report of the U.S. Navy. And joining us on Skype is Space Boy.
Well, more than just Space Boy. I've drugged Solana along with me to make sure that we're both on the line with you.
He's facilitating the phone call because he's in charge of connections.
Yeah, I'm playing the executive producer right now, and you pretty much got Solana.
Yes, so I don't want to take over anything, guys. I think we're all tired of hearing me after Saturday night. So,
not at all.
But I just wanted to know if, in regards to the Pepsi video, I had seen this in December, and I knew about the Black Knight Satellite. Has been there for so-called been there for 13,000 years. But when I saw the Pepsi video, I was like, "What the is this nonsense?"
Right?
Because it looks like pure propaganda. So I was wondering if either one of you had looked into some of the supposedly hidden meanings in the Pepsi video, what the colors mean, what some of the symbols mean, where the people, on Earth are sending their signal to the Black Knight.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I was doing more of the research, like with the timelines and stuff like that, on the discovery of it, more information that's out there. Who's been doing more research? And I was going to go back and start doing more of the Pepsi, but I got really sick this last week.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm barely recovering, but I wanted to be here for everyone tonight. So
we definitely feel your pain, because back in November we were like,
Yes.
man, ugh. But anyway.
Yeah, but I was just wondering. So I was going to tell you if you wanted to know some of it, or you want to keep
please,
that.
yeah.
No,
Okay.
please do.
Well, the first thing, now this is going to get kind of, when you say the words Illuminati, you're going to get some eye rolls, but that's where this is going. So it starts out, the video, it's a phone call from this woman called Anna. They're like, Anna, Anunnaki. Okay, and she's wearing a red jacket. They say this is in reference to the blood moon tetrad. We had a full moon on Christmas Day, 2015, and they hadn't been a blood moon since 1977 on Christmas Day. And what came out in 1977? Star Wars: A New Hope. And what came out in December this year? Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I don't know what the tie is there, but they made that, so maybe there's something there. You guys know, I don't. So another site I saw talks about, okay, who is doing the narration and the music for the Pepsi video? Well, it's this guy called Usher. They chose him because he's ushering in this new world we're going to start living in with the alien from the Black Knight.
Right, I heard about that.
There's a lot of sun worship imagery in the video and in the little poster for the video. This is part of predictive programming, as they pointed out on Ancient Alien Show. Now, I don't know. I've never seen Ancient Aliens. I'm just telling you what I heard. This is the whole point of this, is to get people to turn their backs on religion, or turn religion on its head, and get us ready for the fifth age, the New World Order. There's a lot of V imagery, which is, the Roman numeral for 5. It's in a cloud shape in the background of when they're outside trying to get some piece of equipment going. Pepsi's logo also is like an all-seeing eye, like the Eye of Horus. And even the Black Knight they have in the video, the Black Knight in the Pepsi video, is kind of ominous, all-seeing eye imagery. And the whole point of this is to get the countries to come together to communicate back to our new space saviors. Cancun's image they throw out looks like the Large Hadron Collider.
I noticed that. You're absolutely right.
And they keep saying, now I don't know about this. I went and looked up separately what the origin of the peace symbol is, because this guy kept saying, oh, it's the broken cross, it's the broken cross, this is them breaking Christianity. And the original impetus for it was just for disarming nuclear weapons. And it was supposed to be the part that points down in the peace symbol was to symbolize your hands out and, like, please stop this war type of thing, and supplication. Wasn't necessarily a broken cross like a crucifix, but you can take these things either way. It's a conspiracy. So they're saying there's so much red and blue imagery in the Pepsi video, in the signs and the signals that people are putting out there for the Black Knight to see. And this goes back to Masonic and occult societies, where this is the matrix. Do you take the red pill or do you take the blue pill? And this is like, it represents the 2 women of Revelation, where the red is the harlot, the whore of Babylon, and blue represents the faithful church. And of course, Pepsi's logo is red, white, and blue.
Right.
So, and what was really crazy, you guys, is because Pepsi owns Taco Bell and KFC and whatnot, and Pizza Hut. They're talking about the Taco Bell logo, the modern, like if you got like a modern build of a Taco Bell. Now that they've got a sign, they've always got a sign that's out by itself, separate, the big tall sign, you can see it from the road. But the building itself, you got the Taco Bell logo, the new one they redesigned, where the bell is kind of kicked on its side, and there's like a line inside it that looks like a 6.
Right.
And the little clanger has a reptilian eyeball.
Yeah.
And so each side has the Taco Bell logo. It's the, left, right, and front, but not the back. So there you've got 666. And then they talk about the architecture that's over. They usually have the sign over the door, and they usually some kind of strange new. There's usually like an eyebrow or something over the door to represent the eye. You got back to Eye of Horus. And I don't know if this is true, but it was hilarious, and I enjoyed listening to these videos. So there you've got the reptilian eye with our Anunnaki, our Sumerian saviors, and I don't know. I'm beginning to think Pepsi's poison. And they did point out the guy who directed the Pepsi video also has a film he directed about aliens that are fighting that have reptilian aliens in it. I don't know if that's a connection. So I didn't know if any of y'all heard that. I got more, but I won't clog up the airlines with that. So
are you kidding me? I'm glad you did your homework. Oh my God!
Did you get some of that from?
Especially before you ever announced you were going to do this, and I was researching one because I was thinking, I love getting on YouTube and going down a rabbit hole. And the crazier and the more outrageous, the more fun I have. I'll go, hey, babe, come here, listen to this.
That's awesome. And Luciferius is actually throwing up a lot of links relating to what you just said. I didn't have with the Taco links, Bell.
I have the names of the channels where I got this from. So
I think one of them is like Black Knight Satellite Decoded, and that talked about like the reptilian eye and the Hadron Collider and stuff like that.
Yeah, the one I got the most from with the Illuminati stuff is called The Scariest Movie Ever. That's the name of the channel, although it has nothing to do with scary movies. I know that's the guy's. That's the guy named The Scariest Movie Ever. He's got a lot of stuff like this.
Sorlana,
that's really cool.
Have you ever thought about studying semiotics?
Please elaborate.
Oh, I'm sorry. Semiotics. I just found out about this. A couple of days ago, and it's actually the study of meaning making. It's it's like basically how they use they use signs in the process of making commercials, meaningful communication. It's basically how they program you on commercials and TV and movies and everything else. You can find a bunch of stuff on it on YouTube, and it seems they were using a lot of that in the Pepsi commercial. It's they use it every day.
That's why he was breaking down the Taco Bell logo. He showed the old original Taco Bell logo that was really benign and, very it
was a hat with a scarf.
Culturally, but yeah. And then they changed it to this really strange, insidious eye that's looking at you. And he's like, well, look, guys, I know their tacos are tasty, but you got to quit eating this stuff. I'm like, this is good stuff. I love this,
Well, basically, when you drink Pepsi or Coke anyway, you're basically, drinking turpentine and putting acid down your esophagus.
Well, but if you put cherry flavor in it, it's really good.
You do realize that PepsiCo owns Taco Bell.
Yeah, and KFC
and
Pizza Hut.
Yeah, Pizza Hut. Gotcha.
So are you Pepsi or Coke?
Dr. Pepper.
I definitely drink Coke. I mean, Coke Zero, but
Right. No, I've always been a Dr. Pepper person too, Sorlana. I do not like Coke or Pepsi. I like cherry stuff in it. Have you ever tried Cheerwine?
I've seen it in the store. Cheerwine, I've seen it.
Give it a try. It's not Dr. Pepper, but it's still good.
What is that called, Les?
Cheerwine.
Cheerwine. Oh, I never heard of that.
I think it kind of reminds me of probably what my mother used to drink a lot was Delaware Punch, and it came in a can.
Wow.
I didn't want to take up your lines. I don't know if somebody else is trying to call in.
No.
But, if y'all ever talk about the Vatican's telescope, at some point that was tied in with all this, let me know. Yeah. Let me know, and I'll call in about this little paragraphs I have about that.
Sorlana, before you go, a lot of what you were talking about with the Vatican ties into, just think about what the Pope said this year. It's the last Christmas.
The last Christmas. That's a good point, Les.
Not only that.
About last Christmas is I gave you my heart.
And you gave it away.
You gave it away. Oh, and are you going to ever talk about Childhood's End that came on Sci-Fi?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
We haven't watched it yet, but we're going to, and that also kind of tied into. So anyway, I will stop clogging up your airlines because we're probably tired of hearing about
Solana Spaceboy, you are always welcome here. Thank you very much for calling.
and Space
Thank
Boy,
you, guys.
thanks again for the intro, bro.
Oh,
That
no
was
problem. It was like I heard it, and it was something I wanted to do something nice for you, Dave, and it was really not a biggie. It was when I heard Les a while back saying something to write for music for you guys. I thought, oh well, this would be trying something nice to do, and I appreciate you guys. I do. And I'm always saying that we own the weekends, so between
Yep.
us and you, we're two bookends that we cover. It was really
Oh shoot!
when I heard
Oh my gosh!
Oh no.
I just hung up on Space Boy. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, call
Oh my-
back.
That
Oh,
is a
boy.
horrible, horrible faux pas. Oh my gosh!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Luciferius, is that you? Let me call you back and let me get Space Boy. That was a definite faux pas. I apologize for that, Space Boy.
Oh, it's live radio, unfortunately.
Well, and actually, while we're doing that, one thing I wanted to add that she talked about briefly was the religious symbolism throughout that Pepsi commercial. Which one thing that jumped at me was, the guy says when they're setting up the thing, he's like,
I am here.
let's hope
Hey,
we're
brother,
sending the
sorry
right
about
message.
Oh, no
we can
problem
go
at
ahead.
all. Where did I leave off there, or did I wasn't sure.
It was
Yeah, Brian,
bookends,
sorry
and
about that.
we ruled the
Oh, yeah.
weekends and that kind of thing.
I guess basically, we own the weekends. Us on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and y'all at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sundays. We're a bookend. We go together like peas and carrots. We cover a wide range of topics. I mean, it's just a great weekend to tune in to either Spaceboy Universe or Beyond the Strange. I mean, I'm putting it out there. You know how it is,
Hell
guys.
yeah.
Did they disconnect?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got disconnected, and then they brought us back just to finish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This time you hang up first.
No, you hang up. No, you hang up.
Hey guys, we really appreciate you coming on, and thanks again, Solana, for all of that information. I mean,
Well, thanks
that's
for
just
indulging me. I didn't want to feel like I was taking over
No,
everything.
no.
And I
Oh.
want to put this out there, Dave. You can't have her. She's my person, my researcher for my show. Okay.
I understand.
Hey now.
I
I'm going to pot you
understand.
down so nobody can hear you.
Really
Well, anyway,
appreciate
Dave,
it.
thanks for everything. And like I said, it's a great show, and we'll continue listening to you. And if you need anything, bud, just let me know.
Really appreciate it, brother. Thank you guys. You guys have a great evening.
You too.
Call back again another time. Appreciate it.
Oh, most definitely. Catch y'all later.
All right, guys. Good night.
Bye.
That
Hey,
was Spaceboy
Luciferius?
and Solana. And yeah, Luciferius. Let me see if I can get him back on here.
Yeah, please call back. Sorry about
And
that, buddy.
Brian,
Oh, no,
I'm
it's all
sorry
good.
to cut you off. Yeah, we just kind of the timing. We got Spaceboy come back, but you want to
Yeah,
go
no.
ahead and continue what you're saying?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, just some of the one thing that's jumped out at me is how they, the scene where the guy says, "Well, I hope we're sending out the right message," and then the lady says, "Well, let's hope we're not the only ones." Then they go on to show how all different sorts of nations of different, cultures all around the world were all trying to give a message. It seemed like to the same thing, although it was their own type of message. They all kind of figured it out in their own way, and it kind of seems like an analogy of how, some people might disagree, but I feel like all major religions, although there's a lot of differences, they're all describing the same thing. They're all talking about the same, that same universal consciousness, you know what I mean? And I feel
Yeah,
like
I'm sorry, I'm
maybe...
getting some kind of feedback. Okay, go ahead. We
Yeah,
keep
definitely.
getting some kind of feedback. That's all right.
Well, did you hear any of that?
We heard most of it. There's some feedback that's just coming back. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they showed a little bit of how... seemed like an analogy of how all religions around the world are really trying to describe the same thing. They're trying to describe the same spiritual experiments or attainment, if you will. And it seemed like that could have been, which is surprising, that it was, because that seems like more of a positive thing.
New
but,
World Order.
Yeah, I mean, you could tie it right into that.
We are the world.
Hey,
We
guys,
are
we got
the children. Anyway.
we got Luciferius back.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Luciferius. How you doing, man?
Can you hear me okay?
There's actually some kind of fan or background noise. I'm not sure what that is, but
It's gone now.
yeah, it seems to be gone.
I don't know.
You're a little bit low. That's yeah. I don't know what that is, but it's really loud.
There we
You
go.
want to try calling back? Oh,
Yeah,
No,
I
it's
found so.
oh, yeah, we got you now. We got you now. It
got
sounds
you.
good.
Okay, cool.
What would you like
Hey,
to say?
Yeah, what's up, brother? Thanks for calling in, man.
hey, man, no worries.
It's good to hear
I was
from
gonna
you.
bring a fringe topic. If let's say, assuming the Black Knight Satellite is real, it's there. Nobody knows what the hell it is. It's been there for however long, prehistory. There's some research out on the web about this researcher, a Russian guy who had discovered basically that some ancient spider race had come and hijacked the control system of the planet, which involves the moon and the Saturn matrix thing, which is a whole
You're talking
other...
about Crow 777?
Yeah, exactly, the Hattie Bob material.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's been on THC a lot lately, yeah.
it has there. It's going to be on Late Night in the Midlands next week,
Mm-hmm.
in 2 weeks, but I forgot what. Besides
Yeah, that has to do with the spider beings and the moon being basically a hologram, and how the spider beings showed up thousands of years ago and have tried to inject themselves into our brain and that kind of stuff.
Correct. And the moon actually is how's it explained? An interference device. So in the that this guy sets up in Hattie Bob's model, the sun emits a frequency of light that resonates at certain octaves, and those octaves enable or disable certain genes in particular genotypes, which are people, that are on the planet. And the moon interacts with that light and changes it in such a way to manipulate the genotype growth. So that's the whole matrix, Saturn moon matrix thing there. And I think the Illuminati, conspiracy, whatever, cabal, have taken over that matrix, and they're controlling the changing of the light from the sun now, or were in the past. But it all ties back to that Hattie Bob material, and if you actually believe there's a Black Knight satellite there. So, there's a lot of what ifs. You have to prove the first to get past that, but we're speculating, so why not?
Right.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, again, this is all, I don't want to say hearsay, but it kind of is.
Yeah, it absolutely is all hearsay.
Yeah.
Now, you want to go one step further, you can talk about the set of people who are talking about some kind of AI invasion now that's being transmitted through the internet and plasma
Hearing a lot
chips
about that. Yeah, hearing a lot about that.
It's getting, I would say it's probably a third of that wing of the conspiracy folks. Not really conspiracy folks, more of the truth disclosure people. They're starting to talk about that now. So that goes back to Hattie Bob, where the spider beings at some point reached their goal of integrating their brains into the human skin suit, or shirts. I'm sorry, they called them shirts. The shirts and the spider brain were integrated, so they actually turned off the reincarnation program that they were running in order to implement what they were trying to get to. I forget what year that was. It was real interesting, though.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. Thanks a lot for sharing that, man. I totally had no idea about that, and I'm glad Les knew about the spider beings, because I didn't.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I brought that up before. I can post a link in the chat, but it's sagesigma at .blogspot.com. Is where you can read about it.
Oh, you know what? You can actually do that in hashtag BeStrange if you like, and we can get that up on the website. And
that as well.
Put that up there. But thanks again, man, and thanks for calling. Call in anytime, bro.
I'll probably call in for the vape stuff.
Okay, sounds good, man.
All right.
Later.
All right. And with that, we are going to go into our second break. This is Beyond the Strange. We are talking about the Black Knight Satellite. And when we come back, you might just hear a few predictions from our own LJ3. So stay tuned.
Hey, are you strange? How strange are you? You should listen to Beyond the Strange, hosted by Dave Cruz, Sunday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Break out, all you faternauts and other truth seekers. Look behind the curtain of perceived reality to the strangeness beyond. Keep up with us on Twitter at #BeStrange.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Beyond the Strange. I am your host, Dave Cruz, and with us is LJ3, and we have Gigi Rabbit, Brian Bressler, and Mason with Aether Vapes in the Google panel, or whatever you want to call it, the Hangouts panel. Anyways, we're back. Thanks for everyone for calling. We appreciate that. If you guys want to call, and anybody else want to call, phone number is 707-200-3250. Excuse me, 3250. Is that right, Les? I don't even remember.
3520.
3520. There you go. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Also, you can use the Skype Strange Days 2015 ID, and we'll be glad to talk to you. We'll be happy to talk to you. So, Les, we've got some predictions.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to roll through these really fast because
That's fine.
I really want to get to Brian and Mason.
I do.
And you know what? We might even go a little bit long tonight, guys, if that's okay with you. Everybody looks like they're having a great time, and Spreaker's just bopping along, man.
It is lit up. And
yeah, hello to Witch Song, and hello to Bev. Love you guys. Thank you for joining us, Witch Song.
Thanks
and I'll start out. You know, I've only really got three, and they're the three biggest that probably everybody knows a little bit about. I'm going to start with Baba Vanga. Baba Vanga was born in 1911. She lived to 1996 when she passed away. Her big prediction of the year. Now, of course, predictions are just that. They're predictions. They're, you know, a lot of times, you know, people place, you know, unless you go to Edgar Casey, which is my last prediction of the evening, and he has a lot of documentation to go with his predictions, and he was a medical intuitive. You know, that's all they are. A lot of times people place what they want into the prediction, and they place it wherever they need it to go. So, you know, I don't put a lot of stock in predictions because a lot of times they do put it into words and phrasing that leaves it to your imagination and lets you put it anywhere you want to put it. So, you know, these are the top predictions that I found for 2016, and I'm just going to roll through these pretty quick. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can call in, of course, or you can just, I'll be looking at the chat if you guys need me to, if you'd like to say anything. But Baba Vanga Once again, she was born 1911. She lived to 1996. Her prediction for 2016, and this one fascinated me a lot, because she said there will be an invasion of Europe by Muslim extremists. Now, we already know what happened in the end of 2015, and we already know that there's pretty much been a huge influx of refugees into Europe. So that kind of fascinated me a little bit. Maybe she was a year off. I don't know. But she said there's going to be a war that will start this year, and will be the start of the eventual takeover by the Muslim extremists, ending with the takeover of Rome in 2048. A little bit about Baba Vanga. She was blind. She, during a storm, there was a storm. It picked her up when she was, I believe, 8 years old. Picked her up and moved her 2 kilometers and dropped her into a cornfield. And during that storm, the dust stung her eyes, and she would, even after 3 operations, she never saw anything ever again. But you know, that leads you into a little bit of speculation. You know, did she start crafting and using her 6th sense or 7th sense? You know, after, you know, because your ears, your nose, your taste, you know, everything changes when you lose one of your senses. You know, it's your other senses become more acute.
They pick it up, yeah. Right.
And some of the things she has brought up have come to pass. And I'll leave that to you guys. I'm not going to go into it because I want to leave plenty of time for Brian and Mason.
Absolutely.
Okay. The second one, which is, you know, everybody loves to talk about, of course, is Nostradamus. And he's really a key person when you talk about, you know, he put everything he made, or, you know, all his predictions into quatrains. And these quatrains allow anyone and everyone to basically place whatever basically happens, you know, when it's a prediction, into, like I said, whatever they want it to be. It can be any year, so it can be any, you know, he gets close enough, and we all know how famous he is and how close he's gotten with Hitler, and, you know, the assassination of Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln, and, you know, the supposed 9/11 attacks. But, you know, it's very easy to do when it's basically put into a riddle form. What's that?
So I'm sorry, Les. I was going to ask, what was the nuclear meltdown in Russia back in the
Chernobyl.
80s? Chernobyl. He predicted that as well.
Yeah, I actually did not remember that one, but quite possibly. You know, he predicted the day he would be, or the year he would be dug up, you know, from a grave. He also predicted, his most famous prediction is that he would be a lot more famous when he was dead than when he was alive.
That's kind of, yeah.
Da-da-da. That's for Lisa. Anyway, Nostradamus was born in 1503 and lived till 1566. His predictions for this year, and I did a top 5 because I went all over the place looking for predictions for him. And there seems to not really be, there are predictions for 2016, but I think these are just basic predictions that are rolled into this year. And this kind of goes into the last one. He predicted there would be explosions, or, you know, fire falling from the sky in the Middle East, or the whole Middle East would be on fire. That was one of his predictions. His other prediction, that it seems to be really famous right now, and I don't know if it's political in nature or not, but that Obama would be the last president. Supposedly he predicted Obama would be president, and now he's predicting he would be the last American president. Unusual weather patterns is another one he predicted, but you know what? Every single prediction that I've seen predicted unusual weather events this year. We already know what's going on. You know, we all know what's going on. The only thing, did he know what was going on? Then, of course, we've got the big one, the two big ones that I thought were really kind of interesting, and that were a little bit more specific. An asteroid would be found by Russian scientists in April or May of this year. Now, I don't know where these people got the fact. I think it's talking about wormwood, basically, which is basically from the Bible as well.
From the Bible. Yep.
Right, and it would be 5.6 kilometers in mass, and that it would be discovered in April or May, and then basically it would hit a month later. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, I hate being a doom and gloom person, but this is most of the predictions you find are about doom and gloom, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And then the last one, which kind of leads into our fringe topics that we talk a lot about. This kind of leads into Nibiru or Planet X, which we talked about a little bit. Strange astronomical changes.
Okay.
Meaning changes in the alignments of the different planets. And I'll leave that all up to you guys and your speculations, because we all have a lot of knowledge when it comes to fringe topics.
Absolutely.
And there you go. And that's it for Nostradamus for 2016. And then I've got one more, and then we can move on to Mason and to Gigi. And thank you guys very much for being patient. We appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Yeah, no problem, man.
We're going to run late and make sure that we get everything, because you guys are just as important. Okay.
Whatever it takes.
Okay.
However long.
Edgar Cayce, born in 1877 and died in 1945. And this goes along with kind of like everything else I've got, what seems to be the topic. That, believe it or not, this is the top one that I found. There's not too many predictions. A lot of his predictions were about the end times, which coincide with the Bible a lot. And the one that I found that pertained to 2016 in particular, that Putin would save the world from World War III. That he'd be the hope of the world, and that he would basically be saving us from the economic powers that be. Yeah, pretty freaky, huh? Putin saving us. No, does that mean he's gonna? But does that mean he's gonna, attack America, which is like the head of the, where the economic cabal is going on right now? I don't know.
I did hear. I heard a prediction about that, but go ahead, Les. When you're done, I'll.
No, that's it, folks. That's it for the predictions for this year. Now, whether or not they happen, truthfully, I hope none of them happen. Okay, but
none of them happen either.
But remember, always do your own homework. There's plenty more predictions out there for you to look at. And I thought about going much deeper. In talking about, reptilians and Pleiadians and all that other kind of stuff, but we can leave that for another week. But Gigi, you want to say something?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got a little more vague predictions. I don't know, I've been listening a lot to Randall Carlson's latest work, and as well as Graham Hancock's work, which coincides with his. Mm-hmm. With the ice core samples, his information is flawless, and it's clearly, we're starting the same patterns as in the last 250,000 years always tend to lead up to at least a mini ice age. And just in my personal time, ever since Jay Wildner was on Fade to Black, about the whole Fulcanelli thing, I got that book immediately. And and like he said, that was easily that was a very tough book to read, just the definition of a word salad. But definitely what he's talking about in there, as far as it really coincides with what Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock are saying. The timing of it all, the alchemical transformation from like the ice core show, it gets really hot real quick, and then it gets really cold real quick when we enter the ice age. And it's kind of what he talks about with the fire. I don't know. There's a lot of correlation between the Fulcanelli and the and Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock. Although I don't think it seems like we still have got a little bit of time before that all really goes down, but the weather changes we've seen this year definitely go right along with that as well. I believe, 64 degrees in Antarctica at one point, which was some record, I believe. I don't know. But
It's too hot.
It's way too hot, and there's definitely, ice caps are melting rapidly. I think there's going to be, maybe not next year, but certainly in the next 5 years, according to all of this information that I've researched, it really looks like if it follows the same pattern, there's going to be significant global climate changes. And I don't know. Don't mean to be doom and gloom either, but that's definitely caught my attention lately. And outside of that,
but that's where a lot of predictions go. Unfortunately, it's all about the doom and the gloom.
Yeah, unfortunately, but there is a positive side to it all. But there's just, I don't know. I don't want to take up too much time, but also I think as far as this year goes, I think like somebody was saying, that was David Wilcock the other day. I don't know, there's like this polarization, it seems, where people that are starting to get enlightened are getting more and more enlightened and more in tune with what's really going on in this world, whereas the people that are more in fear mode are getting more and more in fear mode, and there seems to be less middle ground. But the line in the sand seems to be much more greater of, there seems a lot more people that are on the positive side of that than the negative.
Yeah, and we're with a group of people that seem to be on that positive side of the line.
Exactly. Yeah.
James Cruz and Spreaker just mentioned something, and I agree.
Hey, James.
And we all agree. It's all fear porn, and unfortunately, I mean, but again, we need to be aware of certain things, I think. And, if our ice caps are melting or if the, oceans are rising and that sort of thing, we need a head start. I mean, we kind of need a heads up,
Yeah.
But, I totally agree with you, Brian. So, do we want to get into vaping?
I think that, let me start. Let me start by taking the big old vape, and then I'd be happy to do so. As you guys know, those of you who were at CITD, GG or Brian, GG is his screen name, or GG Rabbit in the sandbox. He and Mason contacted me probably about a month and a half maybe before CITD.
Yep.
And he was like, "Hey, dude, who do I contact to talk? We have a little side business. We make E.B.E juice." And I'm like, "Hey, dude, you're talking to the right person, because I vape. I love to vape." And actually, we were during that time, a lot of people were switching to vaping. And I was like, "Hey, man, just bring your stuff, and I'll introduce you, and you can hand out some samples." And that's led to an absolute love of their juice, man. I mean, they just went public with Aether Vapes. That's capital AETH, small THER vapes.com. I think they've got their little chat and Spreaker, and they've also got Aether Vapes on Twitter.
It's Aether Vapes. Sorry to correct you there.
Aether Vapes. Okay,
Vape.
Sorry.
Singular.
Without
hey,
the S.
Les,
Yeah.
guys, I got to stop you guys all right now. Spreaker is going nuts with all these different flavors. They're talking about peanut butter and all kinds of different things that they're just. Fran said she never got her samples.
Who was that? Who was that?
Fran.
Fran, you never got your samples? Oh man. Well, I'm gonna get that to you ASAP. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, there's James is saying he's got PB&J in the tank. All kinds, man. But I'm glad everyone's enjoying their vape, and I haven't vaped yet. I'm not a non-smoker, but hey, you know what?
Well,
there's always time to try.
You see, that's where a big thing comes in. Smoking and vaping are two totally different things, and with that, I will ask Mason to come on because he can tell you the difference between the combustion of smoking and actual vaping. Mason?
Yeah,
Break it down.
definitely. I mean, basically, in a cigarette, in tobacco, you already have, hundreds of chemicals on top of I want to say there's around 600 approved additives to them, and then you have the actual, the structures of the plant. You have cellulose, you have all the proteins, everything like that. And when you burn that, when you actually combust that, it's an oxidation reaction. It's going to produce a lot of different side products. So you hear like cigarettes have 600 different chemicals. Well, after you burn it, that goes up exponentially. And it's all sorts of different ionized combustion products that you just really do not want. And really, there's just a lot of controversy that I see all the time about, the additives to e-juice, and really, there's mainly only three, main ingredients in e-juice. There's, the nicotine, there's your base carrier, which will either be vegetable glycerin or propylene glycol, and then there's the flavors that you add, which will be, just a handful of the actual chemicals that make up, the flavor profile. And when you vape that, they're not undergoing a reaction. It's not an oxidation reaction. So what, those chemicals at, maybe 9 or 10, different molecules tops, it doesn't change. You're only getting 10, and
Hey, Mason?
yeah.
Can you explain to them what an oxidation reaction is and what it does in your lungs and what it does, like secondhand smoke versus, firsthand?
Oh yeah,
Good
absolutely. Well, when you breathe in through a cigarette when it's lit, basically you're supplying oxygen to that reaction, and it's adding oxygen. It's using oxygen and adding it to these molecules essentially. So, and it's also breaking down carbon in the process. So whenever you burn something, you're adding oxygen to carbon and producing. If you're breathing it in, you're supplying excess oxygen. You're actually producing CO2 with carbon with two oxygens attached to it because you're supplying an excess. Secondhand smoke is actually more dangerous for you because whenever you're not hitting it and you're just letting it sit there, you're not directly supplying the oxygen to the reaction, and it doesn't have enough to fully produce CO2, so it actually produces CO, which is carbon monoxide.
Right.
Interesting.
And actually, I was just taking a big old vape while you were saying that.
Hey, go for it, man. Why not? Mason, how long does it normally take to create a flavor?
I mean, once you have the recipe down, it really you can make a flavor in 20 minutes or so, something like that. You can make a batch ready. But as far as developing the flavors, it's kind of hit and miss. Sometimes it'll take months and months, even up to years. And other times you get it right the very first time, and it's just kind of whatever kind of happens, whatever you feel like doing when you're making the flavors, and it just sort of happens or it doesn't. I've there's certain flavors I've tried to make that just have never come out absolutely perfect, so I haven't been able to release them,
Okay, well, now I'm going to talk about something that I love, and that is your peach flavor. And actually, I was talking to Rick. Rick loves your peach flavor, too. Pear. Damn it, I always say peach. What do I say peach? Anyway, I love the
Get
pear
it right,
flavor.
dude.
And you had told me it was actually like the first flavor you ever made.
Yeah, that was one of the very first flavors I ever made. Back, it was probably around maybe 2009, 2010, around there. Whenever I first started making e-juice, and it was really because I'd found a company similar to like the Blue, e-cigs or whatever, but they had a cap on the end that you could pop off and actually refill their little atomizers.
Well, that's what I used to do before I started buying batteries and tanks and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I ended up actually I looked online and saw that this company had an actual, percentage list of everything that they put in it. I mean, the chemicals, the names of the chemicals, everything. And I noticed that really it all was, mainly only 3 ingredients. Certain flavors had different, different blends or whatnot. But, it came down to just a couple of fairly simple things. So I kind of went out and I found some, vegetable glycerin and got some flavor extracts and just started making little mixes that I would put into these little blue cigs.
Hmm. Yeah, that's one thing I happen to love about e-juice and vaping in America is a lot of times it's cottage industry. It's a guy or a gal own their own shop. They buy their own flavors, they buy their own chemicals, and they mix it themselves. And when you get that, you generally get people who give a shit, pardon my language, about their product. And unfortunately, can you tell everybody the differences between the stuff that you get like in China and the stuff you would get here in America?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a big concern, from a lot of like Chinese, suppliers of e-juice is that they're not really up to date on, the e-cig industry is unregulated at the moment, but anybody that's, like us in here that's kind of a grassroots shop here in the States know to stay away from certain chemicals that are kind of they just know to stay away from them. Like one of them is called diacetyl, and it's like a butter sort of custardy note, and it's used in a lot of different for a lot of different things, in foods. It's totally safe to eat, but there was kind of a scare that we've known about, or at least I've known about it, since about 2010, that it causes a condition called popcorn lung or bronchiolitis.
Right. We were talking about that.
Yeah. And, we actually don't use any of that chemical. We've known a while, we've known, like I said, since about 2010 to stay away from that. But we use replacements, for that, such as acetone or acetylpropionyl. And really, there are certain, now they're saying that, some people are saying that those are bad, and it's kind of there's a never-ending really list of like, oh, this is bad for you, oh, this is bad for you, but really it comes down, it's really a scare tactic in my opinion. They did a study that, they did find the diacetyl, the chemical that we know to stay away from, in e-cigs, but it was in 110 times lower amounts than regular cigarettes. And it supplied it in lower amounts than the occupational safety limits,
Uh-oh. Did we lose Mason?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I could not unmute myself for some reason. I've got a question from Spreaker. Raspberry said chocolate mint seems to be, she can't find, for some reason she can't find a flavor that matches the taste. Why is it hard to make chocolate mint?
Chocolate's one of the flavors that, would be hard to make because it's a really complex mix of chemicals that make up the profile of chocolate. And a lot of them, if the chemical is really large, if it's like a bulky molecule, it doesn't want to evaporate as easily, and it'll end up burning. It'll actually burn, on the wick. And it's especially the same way in coffee. It's really, really tough to make a good coffee flavor. You can try to replicate it by by adding a lot of, caramel and vanilla, but it's really tough because it'll end up burning and just not being a good overall tasting vape.
It's funny. I'm seeing a lot of old schoolers, smokers, in the chat, and what can you tell them that would convince them that it's better for you to vape than it is to smoke I mean, like they've been doing it for like 30 years or something like that.
I mean, in my opinion, I think not breathing in carbon monoxide plus not breathing in any tar should be reason enough. Not to mention that you can really choose any flavor you want. Nowadays you can have anything in the vape world. There's no limit to the possibilities of what flavors you can have.
Now, actually, I'm going to ask you a question for one of our friends who usually hangs out with us and right here in Hangouts during the show, but I can't ask her now. Allison. Allison has tried vaping and it has tried several different ways to try vaping. Problem is, it always seems to whatever she uses. She always seems to get her throat gets burned or her lips burn or. It's like she's allergic to the chemicals. Is there anything she can try, or a product she can try, or a different type of vegetable glycerin that she wouldn't be allergic to?
That may be a reaction to the propylene glycol, and I mean, it's really tough to find a company that's going to have 100% vegetable glycerin. We don't add any to our mixes. But the flavors that we order come pre-diluted, because if we were working with the pure chemicals that make up the flavor, it would be, it's just not as convenient, basically. So, maybe that's something for us to look into in the future, trying to supply 100% VG. But I have a feeling that would probably be a reaction to the propylene glycol in most juices.
Luciferius is saying there's only one type of VG. What exactly is that?
Good question.
Vegetable glycerin is the base for most e-juices. Nowadays, they're usually in like 70-30 VG to PG, or all the way up to 100. Well, it's not going to be exactly 100, like I was saying before. But vegetable glycerin is basically it's a chemical that produces the actual vapor that you see, and it provides the base carrier. It's the base carrier liquid, essentially.
Actually, Luciferius had one more question for you guys. He goes, "What's the mix of these guys? I guess what mix do you use?"
Well, like I said, our flavor chemicals we have pre-diluted, and we use different amounts of each flavor, so it actually varies from flavor to flavor just depending on how much flavor we use for that specific recipe, and it depends on how much they dilute it in the mix that we get. But I would put it in the neighborhood of around 90% VG.
So you do 90-10 basically, 90%
Yeah.
vegetable glycerin, 10% propylene glycol.
Yeah. I really try to make it as high vegetable glycerin as possible because it gives a better vapor and it's less harsh on the throat.
Yep. And I think you actually end up getting better flavor from a stronger VG flavor versus a higher PG flavor.
Yeah, I've heard that before too.
So let me ask you guys a question. When did Aether Vapes come into being? When did you guys decide to create this business for yourselves?
Well, I actually started around 2013. I was working for a little vape shop, and I had bought a little rig there and bought some juice and tried it out, and it was just horrible. And so I remember telling them, because like I was saying, I had been making it for a couple of years before that. And I remember telling the shop owners there, like, hey, like, I could make it a lot better than this. And they kind of told me jokingly, like, well, okay, we'll do it. Bring some bottles. I don't think they thought I was going to do it. And I ended up doing it. So I sold from there for a little while, but it was, just kind of mediocre. A lot of people loved it, but, it wasn't anything super big. But me and Brian actually met. He came into the shop one day, and we ended up talking just about music. We kind of started jamming and playing in the band, and I kind of told him this situation I was in where I have this product, and he he tried it out and just loved it, you know, and he was kind of immediately fully on board with whatever we needed to do.
Yep.
Hey, Brian.
Speaking of Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
Go ahead.
Can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, dude.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much the whole story. I didn't, you know, he was just kind of saying he wasn't sure what to do with it, and he had this. I mean, it's just I've tried so many different e-juices and never really enjoyed any of them until his, like all of his flavors. They're just, I don't know. He just simply figured it out. I'm just like, man, and I knew you guys were doing your radio shows and stuff, and I was just like, man, like we could really make something happen with this, and I just took it and ran with it, and
yeah, we originally I had around 20 flavors, and you know, he kind of sat down with me and we kind of tried, you know, a good chunk of them and narrowed them down to just the best of the best, the absolute, you know, our top favorites, and that's what we're down to right now. The 7 that we have are just basically our 2 personal favorites out of everything that we have.
All right, well, let me ask you guys another question. Can you guys actually make stuff to order? If somebody had a flavor they really like but they wanted to order it from you, could you make it to order?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they'd have to contact us through our email instead of, you know, on through the website or whatever. But yeah, we could definitely do that.
Sweet. I want to do Gigi. When and why did you start vaping?
Well, I mean, really, I just noticed, like, I mean, it's just clearly the lesser of 2 evils. I mean, like, think about, you know, one night you're out late and you smoke a whole pack of cigarettes in one night. Like, you're going to feel that in the morning, you know? Like, that, like, weighs you down. You're going to cough up stuff in the morning. And I just noticed that doesn't happen when I vape. You can vape all night long and you're going to wake up relatively fine in the morning compared to that. And so, I mean, that's originally what got me going. It's just like, it's not as harsh on the body. And it's just, lesser of 2 evils. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I hear that. So you had told me when we were speaking, when the 4 of us were speaking earlier, that, you know, and one thing that's starting to get to me is that the tobacco companies are starting to move in hardcore on vaping and vapors, period.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a great example was the Texas Senate Bill 97.
Tell us about that.
Man, it basically made it so difficult to legally buy e-juice online that about 50% of the vape shops just simply stopped shipping to Texas for a few weeks there. Yeah, I mean, you had to, Mason could probably explain it better, but I mean, you had to do all kinds of stuff. You had to be at least 27, I believe, in some cases. You had to register for a specific license to be able to buy e-juice with the FDA or something.
No, basically what it was is that, you know, before we could send out any e-juice, we had to basically prove that who we were sending it to was over 18, and so this required actually for us to like get a photocopy of their driver's license, get their social security number, run this through a third party company, you know, that will do all of this checking. Then we actually have to take the copy of all of this data to the I want to say it's the comptroller's office. I'm not actually entirely sure, but it was we have to take this to a government office, get it approved, and then we can send it out. It was basically, you know, we would have to wait a week before we could get approval to send anything out, you know, from Texas to Texas.
That's just asinine.
Yeah,
I know.
It's really strange to me that Texas would do something like that and completely, you know, essentially screw themselves out of all of that tax. You know, if it's, you know, we could still send to other states, no problem. But sending, Texas? Yeah, we couldn't send to Texas, which would give them the sales tax, you know.
Oh, gosh.
But luckily, there was a committee. What was that committee called, Mason?
Which one?
The one that amended a lot of that bill to where it's not going to be quite so harsh.
Oh, it's totally slipping my mind right now. But yeah, like luckily it did. It got amended kind of, right after it got passed, and it saved a lot of. Now we still have to have the little pop-up on the website that asks if you're 18, and we still have to have you check a box that assures that you're 18. But all of the other really really harsh sort of process was taken out of it.
Gotcha. Well, let's kind of go into, there's a lot of different jargon. There's a lot of different names for a lot of different things. Like when I hear e-cig, I don't think of what I'm using, which is a Kanger AnyBox or an e-box. I think of that as a mod, more of a mod, a mod type design. E-cigs I think of more as like, the pre-packaged like Blues or Metro or whatever you can buy that look like the old stick cigarettes.
Yeah.
That only last for, they say, 200 puffs, and then you recycle it or throw it away or whatever. Fran was just asking, what is dripping?
That's where you're going to rebuild your own coils. You'll get cotton and your own Canthal wick and build basically very, very low resistance coils. And it's where you see these guys that, they blow out a cloud and it'll fill the room. That's basically what that is. That's also the ones that you hear where people are blowing up because they're essentially building these coils with too low of a resistance and short-circuiting their battery.
Okay, I gotcha. Can you explain to Fran actually what a coil is?
That's the piece of metal, inside of all, vaping, any e-cig or sort of mod, any of that. It's the coil inside that whenever you pass electricity through it, it heats it up. It's basically a really, really tiny, coil oven, coil stove.
Right. Basically, what you do, Fran, is you have your organic, and that's why I also love modular designs, is because you can get stuff like organic Japanese or organic American-made cotton, which is not available if you buy like a regular tank and a stick battery. And that's kind of what we were using at CITD, Fran. Where it's got the little tank on top, and you put about 1.5 to 1.6 milliliters of juice in it, and it's got like 4 little wicks attached to it. Your coil is actually attached to those wicks. Basically, what you're doing instead of having one of those tanks, Fran, is you are every once in a while you are dripping. You're dripping directly. You're dripping your e-juice directly on the cotton, and then vaping it. And when you do that, you get a much better taste. You get a much better hit, or you get a much better what they call a cloud, or a vape cloud. I mean, with the new mod I have, actually it's got a coil design, and it's got a rebuildable coil on it. And you can actually, I can rebuild the coils myself, and the vapor cloud that I get is ridiculously huge. I made a small video of it. It's actually ridiculous, but they've got to, Brian and Mason, they've got so many different types of devices, and we were talking about how the technology has changed so fast. Things are coming out that are new, and I saw Luciferius. He showed me a picture of all the different mods he has, and oh my God, he must have like 30 different devices in that picture.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep up with all the new technology. I mean, I actually worked at a vape store, and I still am not the best at being able to keep up with all of the different terminology and everything that goes into it. And I've never been a dripper, I really don't do that. I prefer just regular sub-ohm tanks, but, so that's kind of a new world for me as well. I just recently got to try one of my flavors, the pear actually. I got to try it out on a drip tank, and it was really, really good. The extra vapor really brings out a lot of flavors that you wouldn't normally get on the smaller tanks.
That's one thing I cannot wait to try. Is I love the pear, not the peach. I love the pear with just a regular tank, but I cannot wait to try with the temperature with the new mod that I have, that pear, because I know I'm going to taste it so much better. You get so much better taste.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really night and day.
I mean,
Hey
those.
guys, I just want to.
Mhm. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to give a shout out to a latecomer in Spreaker, Deanna. How you doing tonight, Deanna? Thank you for joining us in Spreaker for Beyond the Strange. Okay, guys.
Actually, Raspberries was just saying she uses a Sigilay 150 watt with an Arctic Horizon 0.2 ohm and a handmade Pyrex mouthpiece. Ooh, Pyrex mouthpiece. You see, I didn't even know that existed. That's how fast things change. I'd love to get one made out of hand blown glass one of these days, because plastic and metal can both get hot.
Are those different types of? You know what? For someone like me who doesn't know crap about vaping, what exactly is a mod?
A mod is basically it's a type of battery that's going to give you a lot more. It's a lot more output. They basically make them for the drip tanks. It's going to give you a really, really high output, and it's meant for a super low resistance coil. So it'll give you those massive, massive clouds.
Okay, I got you.
And massive flavor.
Yeah.
You get a ridiculous amount of extra flavor when you use, that's where the whole rebuildable coils come in, and you can use the organic cotton. They do have. I've heard they've even started using hemp as wicks now. Most people, when they think of a mod nowadays, and it's not really even a mod. It's a rechargeable battery that has a much higher ohm or a much higher resistance. You get more, in other words, you get more power out of those little stick batteries than you do a rebuildable coil when you put the cotton and the coil in yourself. And it burns up your wicks much faster. And sometimes, like, Mason and Brian, we were talking about this also, that they burn out your wicks fast. And a lot of times people don't even realize it's the wick that you're tasting that's burning, not the e-juice.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a big problem. Especially in the type of juice that we make with a really, really high percentage of the vegetable glycerin. Vegetable glycerin's a lot thicker than the propylene glycol, so it will burn out your wicks a little faster, especially if you have a smaller wick, like the pin style, if it's like a 1.8 ohm or even higher. It just won't wick it up as fast because it's a lot thicker. So it will tend to burn out the smaller ones. The higher VG that you have, it definitely will work better with a lower ohmage with a bigger coil.
Gotcha.
And actually, that was a major scare, kind of one of the big scares about e-juice and about e-cigs. A few years back, there was a study that said that out of a test, a lot of the cartridges were producing formaldehyde. And I was looking over some of the actual paper that published that, and some of some other articles kind of related to that, and to me it seemed they were setting regular kind of cartridges, the pre-filled ones. They were setting them up at 5 volts, which for those is very, very, very high, and they were taking repeated, I believe it was 3-second puffs from those cartridges, which I know for sure would burn those out in just a heartbeat. So all this formaldehyde that they were testing was essentially because they were just frying their cartridges, and I know nobody would be able to sit there and puff on it with it doing that. nobody's going to get that much formaldehyde because they would taste it immediately and probably want to gag.
So, being a almost devil's advocate, if you will, vaping versus smoking. When it comes to that, do you guys feel that vaping might be less expensive than smoking, or do you think it's vice versa?
It really comes down to how much you want to get into it. You know, it's really all up to the person. Most people that I know that do get into vaping, they get into it enough to where it probably is around the same, maybe, because they want to have the best vape, they want to have the best juice, they want to have, you know, it's kind of almost become like a fad thing to do anymore. But for somebody that just wants to try to quit smoking, it's definitely, you know, not inconceivable to be able to do it and have it be cheaper than actually smoking.
Now, I do have to say this. Just because you start vaping, it does not mean you're going to quit smoking, okay? But I'll tell you my experience. The day I started vaping, I quit smoking. I didn't have to smoke anymore. And now cigarettes are actually gross to me. They just don't taste good.
I'm the same way. I can't smoke them anymore. I used to smoke probably half a pack a day, and now I can't even finish a quarter of one without just it being disgusting.
Yep.
That's really cool.
So where are you guys going to try to take it from here? You know, you guys have, what, 7 juices available right now?
Yeah.
Could you tell everybody the juices you have, please?
Yeah, we have berry dew, we have a cherry, we have caramel cream, we have raspberry, which is a mix of blueberry and raspberry. We have dreamsicle, we have the pear, and we have Red Hots, like a cinnamon Red Hots flavor.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, peeps. I've tried every single one except the Red Hots. Caramel cream is like a great cup of coffee. Yeah. I've already told you how much I freaking love the pear. The cherry, I tried a couple of months ago. They sent me a tester, and I love that too. It's got a great flavor. The raspberry is good. The dreamsicle is good. I loved the dreamsicle. Dude, I pretty much love everything you guys have. It's all quality vapor or e-juice.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, he really just took the time over the last few years, and he just simply figured out what makes good e-juice. I mean, he's kind of like the Anthony Bourdain of e-juice. Well, I don't know if that's the right. Wow. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but there's certainly a lot of Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown being played in the background while we make e-juice.
Yeah. That's quite the compliment.
And I mean, really, it's been all, you know, kind of friends and, you know, everyone else that hits it and tells me, you know, like, hey, this is really good, or hey, maybe it needs a little more kind of creaminess, or hey, you know, it's definitely. It wasn't just me; it was help from everybody else, kind of giving, you know, all the pointers I needed, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, and the way you explained it to me, Mason, is that, you know, it took you years to make some of those juices. You didn't just throw this stuff together. You really, truly, treated it like a craft, and like, you know, like they do with craft beer. I'm not saying that beer and vape, you know, or e-juice is the same, but and not only that, people, I didn't know if you knew this or not, but you know, he's a chemistry major. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's genuine handcraft e-juice for sure.
Yeah.
So where do you, you know, I think I asked you this one time before, but where would you like to eventually go? I mean, are you guys going to get into, you know, are you guys going to start selling apparatus too, or, you know, like mods and devices, or are you just going to stick with the e-juice for now?
We're definitely planning on trying to get into that, you know, that realm a little bit, but really, you know, it's so flooded already, and it's hard to actually be able to compete with a lot of the other companies, and you know, I don't want to I think we both feel we don't want to even try to put it on our website if we're not going to be anywhere in the realm of sort of the big suppliers. We know that our strong point is our e-juice, and that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, that's really the main focus right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the floor to you guys here real quick. If there's anything you'd like to say, if there's anything, if you want to give everybody the coupon again, like, you've got the Fade or Not code right now, give them your, give everybody everything. And if you've got Facebook, your .com, give them everything.
Yeah. Well, first off, I don't know if Brian wanted to kind of talk about our maybe our plans for sort of moving into the skate industry somewhat.
Oh, cool.
Hey, please talk about that.
Yeah, please do, man.
Yeah, that's another thing we're doing right now is, as of right now, it's still legal to sponsor things with vape e-juice companies, whereas cigarettes, they're not allowed to have ads in magazines or television or anything like that. Well, they haven't come down with that hammer yet. So while they haven't, I've got a lot of friends in the skateboarding industry, and since nobody rides for any other e-juice companies, we've kind of got a cream of the crop pick of pro skaters that are going to be riding for us, and that's definitely going to be one of our target markets. And we're going to get involved with skate media and whatnot, and actually try to pull together a full-length video with all these guys too. So. Yeah, and we're thinking we're going to do pro model flavors for him. Like Terrell Robinson, he wants to do purple drink.
Ooh.
And so we've got, we've got 20 other flavors that we're still ironing out. Before you know it, we'll be releasing more and more flavors throughout the year.
I'm still waiting on that more bananas for less.
I'm going to get you the bananas.
Sorry, I think
capital L
right
E
there.
capital LES. Huh? There you go.
But yeah, so if you go to our website, it's www.ethervape.com. If you, that's AETHERVAPE.com. Definitely the Fade or Not code is Gobekli Tepe, just for good measure. You're going to have to enter that into the shopping cart. After you, before you check out, in the shopping cart is where you enter it. Gobekli Tepe, you get 25% off. And for everybody's first order, you also get a free 15-milliliter bottle of e-juice, free shipping on all orders, and if for some reason you do not like it, 100% money-back guarantee, you just keep the bottle and we will refund your money.
Wow, that's a good deal.
Yeah, we just want to make, try to run it as ethically as possible, We just want to make sure we're giving you the best e-juice, and if you don't think it is, then we're more than happy to refund your money.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and the whole reason I've been in love with your vape since CITD, and I've done everything I can to try to help you guys out, because when I believe in something, especially when it's done right and it's done by friends, and I consider you guys friends, I will do anything I can to help you guys out, and I know you stand by your product, and I know you make a good product, and I love it. So the best of luck to you guys. I really hope your business takes off, and I know you'll do well.
Well, thanks you so
man.
much.
We really appreciate you, man.
I know
Absolutely.
you do.
And thanks for taking the time to come on the show and explain everything that you guys do for vaping, and it just sounds really interesting, and it definitely sounds like a great alternative to smoking.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime.
Right on. Well, I think that about wraps it up, Les.
Unless Mason or Gigi have anything else they'd like to say before we go, I think that about covers it. What do you think, guys?
Thanks for having us, man. We really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was so happy that we could get you guys on tonight, because a lot of us do vape, and a lot of us do use e-juice. So I mean, it's why not buy it from someone we know and is part of our family.
And Fran, once again, I apologize. I will get that package out to you ASAP. I promise.
That's pretty funny. Right on, man. Thanks again, guys, for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Got it. And that about wraps it up, everybody. I'd like to thank our guests tonight, Brian Gigi Rabbit Bressler and Mason. We really appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you, Les. Always a pleasure having you with us, brother.
Thank you, Dave.
It's all good. Also like to thank my buddy, Alan Hall, who's doing the bumper music right now. And Melody Loops for our bumper music. Also like to thank Brian Anderson and Gunny Jean Vitale for the drops. You can hear more of Brian at brianandersonvoice.com. And I want to do a special thanks and shout out to Spaceboy for putting that new spin on our intro music. You can find Spaceboy on Facebook and spaceboyuniverse.com. As a reminder, I don't want to forget, next week we have Athena Zub and the Theologians of Orion. Tune in. It's going to be awesome. And with that, I just want to say have a good night. Be safe, be happy, but most of all, be strange, Beyonders. Hasta.